Welcome to Your Town. I'm Chef Wendy Brodie from Art of Food, the culinary host, and my guest today is Tom Skeele of MEarth. Welcome, Tom, and I was so excited to learn about MEarth, and I want you to describe it. I don't want to take any time away. I was thrilled, so describe MEarth for us.
Thanks for having me and MEarth
Oh,
to
and
your
the
show.
new executive
the
director.
new executive director, a whopping 3+ months into the job. So
Congratulations.
pleased to be here with you. Thank you. MEarth is an environmental sustainability education program. Most of our focus is on youth. Also, we have adult programming, and we serve people all throughout Monterey County. Our purpose in life is to educate and inspire people to be more focused on environmental sustainability. And we think of that not only from the perspective of the natural environment, but also in terms of taking care of ourselves and our families and our communities.
What a beautiful, beautiful definition. Your location, I was just blown away with the beautiful sensitivity and the building and the eco. Continue on for me.
I will do so. Our organization is located on a 10-acre piece of property called the Hilton Biolek Habitat. It's adjacent to the Carmel Middle School. We have a lease with the Carmel Unified School District to run our programming there. 20-some years ago, that 10 acres was a Christmas tree farm. And that company went belly up, and so then the school district bought the property adjacent to the middle school, and soon after that, a teacher and the principal decided that they thought there was a real possibility for teaching environmental education, taking the classroom and bringing it outside on that property, and so they began to restore the habitat there and start creating environmental education labs there. Fast forward to the early 2000s with Alice Water and the start of the edible classroom movement, and we included the whole concept of culinary education along with natural history education. That's where that part came from. And so our property there in the 10 acres has a big open meadow, has a small pond with some wildlife in it, frogs and other animals, have great birding habitat. We've got a bee garden, we've got a butterfly garden. In terms of the culinary side of life, we have a 1-acre organic farm or garden. We have a fruit tree garden. We have a herb garden, and a really high-end, state-of-the-art, LEED-certified cooking facility where a lot of our training takes place.
You sure do. I was so impressed. The counters were made out of recycled glass bits, and I watch a lot of the cooking designer shows or, build it yourself. And this is just state-of-the-art, beautiful island, bamboo cutting boards, the cooking equipment. I mean, one should be so lucky to have that, and to think that it's all green and sustainable. Who was the architect?
I actually, to be frank, I don't know the architect. I know that it's a 6 or 7-year-old building. That was really a community effort to raise the money and build it on the property.
Wow.
It served us incredibly well, both with respect to our youth programming. So let me run through 4 programs to give a sense of what it is we do. So again, please. Because this all started with the middle school, we have what we call our Classroom Connect program, and that's in concert with the teachers at the middle school next door. And that's both got an environmental education side to it, natural history, environmental science component, and then also the culinary piece where language classes, world history classes will come in and use cooking as a way of teaching about a subject, whether it's a history topic or a language topic, whatever it might be. And so that's our Classroom Connect program. That's really the foundation, the core of the program. Out of that comes both our Nature Connect and our Food Connect programs, again, focused on environmental education, on food, culinary education. But these programs are focused for the whole county. So kids from all throughout the county, as south as Big Sur, in Greenfield, and as north as Moss Landing, come and take advantage of the facility and learn about cooking and the environment there as well. So that's our Food Connect and our Nature Connect program. And then finally, we have a Community Connect program, which is more geared towards adults and families. That's a weekend program, evening programs, that sort of thing. And a good chunk of it takes place in the LEED certified cooking facility.
And how does word get out? I mean, I'm anxious to be signing up for all kinds of things, but
we're active on social media. We put out a monthly newsletter. People by word of mouth learn about us. We have two big events every year. One is called MEarth Day on Earth Day or Earth Day weekend in April, and we have another event which is coming up in mid-September called Glass Pumpkin Patch. And both of those are big events. They bring both more than 1,000 people over the course of the event to the habitat, to our property there. So a lot of people learn about us through those community events and then find other ways to get involved. And one of the ways a lot of people end up getting involved is through the volunteer work. 10 acres is not something that's easy to maintain. It takes a lot of bodies, it takes a lot of time, and we are fortunate to have a very substantive volunteer base that helps us maintain the gardens and the property and the various eco labs that we have, that sort of thing.
Well, I was so thrilled to be asked to do one of the cooking demonstrations on July 25th, so I'm very excited. And Hannah Root, and I thought such an appropriate name for a produce person. She probably gets kidded about that, but it's a perfect, now I'll never forget her name. But she gave me such a wonderful list of all the herbs that are grown or will be available during that time, and your produce that you're growing. So
it's interesting you bring that up, because one of the things, only again having recently joined the staff, one of the things I find most impressive is that we have over 160 different varieties of plants that are grown on the property.
Wow.
That get used in all kinds of culinary expressions. So it's really that's why she was able to talk about what's available for you when you're going to come join us next month.
Well, I realized that I only saw one small portion of the 10 acres. I am just so impressed about all the other parts. I just saw the culinary part and the gardens. And then I know that our chefs organization, the Monterey Peninsula Chefs Association, has been a big supporters, and that where I first learned of you. And they presented at the last, or the Chef of the Year event beforehand, a wonderful video that I think had some drone
footage,
footage that was just spectacular. So there is an aesthetic on every level. I mean, it's beautifully done.
The organization, my predecessor, Tanya Roos, and the board of directors and all the staff have really made a very strong effort to focus on the aesthetics, so that the experience is not just around the education, it's around the experience, or the opportunity is not just around the education, but around the experience. And we think that's important, because that helps people feel comfortable in the habitat area, become more comfortable with the idea of sustainability. Sustainability in many cases is taking care of oneself. That's why it's not just environmental sustainability, but personal sustainability. So that aesthetic is very conscious on our part.
And can you touch base on a little bit of all of those? I mean, what are some of, what would I learn attending some of the adult programs?
Yes. So for instance, this weekend we're having a program, a do-it-yourself workshop. So it's a training workshop for people to come in. It'll be about 30 people, and it's based on scents and salves that you can make from native plants that are growing on the habitat. And so that'll be taking place this weekend.
Like Ayurvedic, I mean, SCENT?
SC scents, yes. Okay. Scents and salves, yes. And so they'll actually use plants from the garden and from the property and make these and teach people how they can do it themselves. Oh. So that's what we call one of our do-it-yourself workshops. Those are available for
what time does it start?
That's on Saturday afternoon, I think. I'm pretty sure about that, in fact. And then we have a monthly, we were not having one in July, but in May we have a monthly sustainable chef dinner. In May, we had James Anderson from the Poke Lab there doing a 6 or 7 course, course meal and talking about the different types of food that he was serving. And he did a great job of talking about sustainability, particularly around the fish that he was using. This month in June, we had Christopher Boney from Carmel Private Chef there, and he cooked a meal on National Oceans Day that involved fish, and again talked about sustainability ideas and concepts, so that really fits in with our educational model. And then in August, we're having our next Sustainable Chef Dinner with Collectivo Felix out of Santa Cruz. So we have lots of different chefs coming through to provide their expertise and their culinary cooking, their culinary taste, their food, and people come and take advantage of those on Thursday nights once a month.
And what does a dinner like that cost?
It's a $75 cost to come. And
that's a bargain.
It's a bargain. I appreciate you saying that, and it's not only a bargain, but it's also a contribution in a way to the organization. You're helping the people who come. It's money that we use to run programming primarily for the youth programming. So the adult programming, in many ways, is a fee-based programming opportunity for us to raise money to help support youth from all over the county coming. Because in some cases it's expensive. Got to rent a bus to come from, whether they're coming from Salinas or Greenfield or wherever they might be coming from. And so we help subsidize, in some cases, those costs to get students to come and experience our program.
I'm impressed that parking is not an issue, because the school, being right next to a school, has lots of areas to park. I was tempted, thank goodness you have the cones, so you can't really drive in, which is good. I almost made that mistake.
We're actually extremely fortunate to have the relationship that we do with the Carmel Unified School District. They not only do they allow us to use the property, the 10 acres that we have, or that we use, but they support us in many other ways in terms of the relationship we have with the teachers, and teachers giving us feedback about the educational curriculum, lesson plans that we have. It's a great opportunity for us, so we're grateful for that.
Wow. Is the original teacher and principal that started this idea still around and active?
I believe that the original principal is still around, and the teacher has moved to Northwest Montana.
Oh, wow.
So we have one person still local and one person's gone off to other parts of the country.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, so there's a long history, though, and there are some of the executive director, actually two of the executive directors, previous executive directors, now serve on the board of directors. So there's a long history. People really get enamored with the program, are real supportive of the program, and want to stay involved at all levels, staff and board, and people keep coming back for summer camp with their kids, and next generation of kids going through the middle school, or different programs that we have with high school students in other parts of the county coming over.
Gosh, there's just so much to take in once you do go there, and as I say, I thought I was seeing a good portion of it, not so. Any other wonderful, all of the wonderful things you can talk about, but with the nature or the science, are there all kinds of bird species that we don't know about that we could learn about?
We know about the bird species, but there are a lot of bird species. So we have an amphitheater that is a birding area, and originally there was bird banding done, so there's a whole scientific research aspect of banding the birds and then tracking them and being able to learn where they go and their habits and behaviors and territories. As I said, there is a pond there that was human built and ended up having red-legged frogs, which is our endangered species, find their way to that pond. And so now we actually have a place where we're restoring native wildlife in this pond, and have a relationship with the federal U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service on how to restore red-legged frogs there, and the kids love the frogs, not surprisingly. I saw them yesterday in summer camp sneaking up to the pond and wanting to see if they could see the frog before it jumped underwater into its place of security, so that's a great opportunity for them. The bee garden and the butterfly garden are right now, they're in bloom, and the butterflies are not around, but there are certainly a lot of bees around, and when the butterflies are here, we sometimes get monarchs coming through, and we're growing plants in order to support that species, which is not doing great. So there's a lot of those kinds of activities. A fairly significant sized meadow where the kids can go out and learn about spiders, and there are owl boxes out there where there are actually some owls nesting in there now. And so there's a lot of opportunity for nature education there. One of the pieces that I find most intriguing about is the intersection of the marrying of both the nature education and the culinary education, because that's an opportunity for us to talk about humans' relationship with the natural environment and how natural environment and human-altered environments can go well together, like in the case of agriculture, where agricultural crops can be very beneficial to birds, to bees, to other animals, and so how that whole relationship happens and under the auspices of sustainability. And so that's a strong message of ours.
Now, speaking of bees, have you at all created a bee farm for honey yet?
We don't do any honey making that way. No, we don't. No.
You might have to have that young man who is doing his own honey locally. I bet he'd be a great teacher for
possible
visiting.
Workshop, exactly. Yeah, possible workshop. Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah, on the whole notion of sustainability and the kids and the education piece and around culinary, one of the things that I've found really valuable from an educator's perspective is we use the word floss as a way of getting the kids to remember concepts around sustainability. And through floss, it means stands for fresh. And then there you want to be getting food that's local. You want to be getting food that's organic. It's ideal to use food that's in season, so it doesn't have to be shipped very far, and you keep your carbon footprint low, and all of that leads to a sustainable food choice and habits. And so we really are big promoters of this concept of floss lifestyles and floss eating habits. F-L-O-S-S.
Oh, okay.
With the second.
So fresh, local, organic, seasonal.
Yes. And all that ties together to be sustainable foods and sustainable eating habits. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
Oh, it is. It is. Well, I just was so excited. I can't wait to come back.
You went to the garden.
I did.
And you see the corn coming up?
I got focused on the lavender because
Did you really have a big lavender fan?
I have an event that I need lavender, so
you should feel free to come and grab some lavender.
That's what they said. So
well, the reason I bring up the corn is it's also as the new staff person, it's a story that I find fascinating, and I think it's a great concept. Is that the incoming sixth graders who will come into the school, middle school in August and September, will pick the corn that's growing there.
Oh,
and then they will take all the corn husk or the seeds off it and dry it out, and they will end up using some of that corn as part of cooking during the year. And then at the end of their school year, the sixth graders will plant what's left of those seeds in our same garden, and it will grow over the summer. And the next August and September, the new sixth graders will come in and carry on that tradition for another year, and that tradition has been going on for, I think, 4 or 5 years now, to the point where we really have these heritage corn crops that are being grown again and again and again. The students are using them, and they're reading a book that talks about corn and its relationship to history and human culture, and it's just a great tradition that the middle school has that we support them in.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I hope people are as excited and inspired to come out and see what's going on there. I know I'm a newbie, but hopefully you'll get a lot more. Thank you so much, Tom.
Appreciate having me, and really a pleasure, and look forward to seeing you back there.
Thank you.
Yay.